Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Greg DeSell from Markertek. Thank you for joining us for another edition of the webinar series from Markertek as our partners join us today from Bolin Technology. We've set aside 45 minutes today for the presentation and 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. Please take note of the Q&A section of your Zoom control panel. We welcome your questions and we'll do our best to answer them either during the presentation or post-presentation. And for any questions we may not get to, we'll follow up with answers directly post-presentation. And of course, if you're experiencing any technical issues with the video or audio, please let us know in the chat section. Markertek is proudly partnered with Bolin Technology and excited to offer its Dante AV solutions of Ptc cameras, of decoders and encoders as well. This revolutionary technology delivers AV over IP across a Dante network while offering ease of configuration and ultra low latency performance. Here to tell us more is Bolin's Sales Channel Manager, David Summers. Welcome, David, and thanks for joining us today. Please introduce yourself and tell us more about these exciting products from Bolin.
Hi, thanks for having me. How's everything going today?
Good. Excited to hear more about this Dante AV. I know it's a new piece of the puzzle for Dante users, so I'm sure our integrators and system contractors would be interested in how this incorporates into systems they may already have.
Yes. No, you're right, Greg. This is a fantastic piece of the puzzle that is just lacking in exposure. So this kind of a webinar is perfect. And so first of all, I wanted to just kind of introduce ourselves. We're Bolin, and we produce baseband Ptc cameras. We produce some fixed baseband Ptc cameras, dual output Ptc cameras, where you can use like the highest resolutions in the camera through IP and SDI or HDMI at the same time. Or a lot of times with cameras, you have to pick and choose which outputs you want to be prioritized. So we specialize in giving that full power to the users. And Dante AV is something really special because of the inroads that Dante has made in the audio space with events and house of worship and the entire market. And so we're really proud to have partnered with them and be able to produce a camera that inserts itself into that environment really easily. And so I don't know if everybody has seen in the past, but Dante has opened up, Hdmi, I should say, in update that was about 3 months ago, opened up video as well as audio. And now you can plug in, a camera to the system through the network, and it's a relatively quick and easy way to add and have, AV over IP in that way. So basically, right now, AV over IP is big and it's needed. It's necessary. It's also, it can be confusing, and putting some of these systems together can kind of be a mess. And so Dante AV is a great solution for that, because as long as you have network and switches, then you can add cameras to your existing Dante network. And I'm sure some customers that are thinking of which way to go might decide to go Dante based on that. Maybe don't have Dante currently, but there's a huge pool there of customers that already have Dante for audio. And so basically it's really modular. Let me show you this next slide. And this is a pretty simple way to look at a Dante ecosystem, but basically adding a camera and a decoder and then multiple decoders lets you multicast from one camera to a screen that's going into a production suite, or to just a screen somewhere like an iMac display. It could be an extra ancillary screen, but basically just adding decoders allows you to duplicate screens anywhere that you'd like. And we also have an encoder that is ready and shipping very soon. And so between the two of those, you'll be able to do anything you need with video content in a Dante network. Oops, went backwards. And so as you can see here, pretty much from a video wall to the large iMac, to the wall-mounted TVs, you can not only take what's on the cameras, but you can also use the encoder to take any kind of media content that you have and push that around too as well. So given this kind of ease of use and power, you'd be able to see Dante networks for AV, over IP, being really useful in all these different verticals that are here on the screen. And so I was going to ask, I don't know if anybody, since it's just going through text, but if anybody has customers that are in some of these verticals that are already using Dante, like that's fantastic to, that'd be like nice to be able to discuss in the future and talk to them and see if it would be something they want to bring in cameras to that environment. But whether, we've seen municipalities, we've seen large scale theaters set up with Dante, as well as house of worship, which is kind of like a given. Besides that, we've seen live music, a lot of requests and a lot of stuff happening that's starting to get going again. And then besides that, you've got corporate, a lot of corporate training happening where a Dante network could be really nice.
We did get a question already, Brian, for David from one of our attendees asking how this compares to NDI or NDI-HX, QLA, base T, etc.
Okay, sure. Sure, and let me know if you don't hear me clear or anything. Let me know. My mic was just making a weird sound. Maybe it was just incoming. But so yeah, Dante is a whole different type of network. There are some customers that are using NDI and Dante on the same, in the same instance. They're both being used, but you have to segregate them so that they don't, they will flood each other with packets and sort of fight. So as long as you segregate those networks, they can both be used. But as far as the difference, one's more of a transport protocol, and one's more of a way to put the video through IP, regardless of how it's being transported. It's, one's going to work for some people and one's going to work for other people, depending on where they got their training, what they're comfortable with, what kind of equipment they've used in the past. So there may be situations where Dante makes more sense. Obviously, in a house of worship, if they're already using Dante for audio, that would make a lot more sense to just add cameras to their existing Dante network. In some situations, if you're doing action-based transitions, speed transitions, and it's a broadcast environment, then NDI might be better for that environment. So the environment's just going to depend on what they're doing with it and what's better for the customer. And some of that even comes down to what ultimate end equipment they want to use and what they want to invest in their network, how they're going to set up their bandwidth and what's already existing. So I could see a lot of use cases for both. But you just have to be careful if you're going to put them on the same network, because they will fight each other until you segregate it. And let me pull this up. Are you guys seeing our website right now?
The presentation is still showing.
Okay, okay. 1 second. Okay, you should be seeing it now.
Yes, now it's up.
Let me scroll down. So we have, if you go to bolintechnology.com, we have an entire section on Dante AV. We have some diagrams that are from Audinate, and then we have a diagram that we developed. And this kind of shows in a typical house of worship where you've got an existing Dante network and you've got everything that you're going to be using for the audio from coming in to going through and being monitored and edited for levels and compression and all that. Then you can see up here in the middle box, there's a camera that correlates to the camera there in the diagram, kind of in the middle of the church. And there's one up in the front too. And so you can see from the diagram with the red lines being where the network is going, that camera just plugs into the switch. And then that's going over to, where it branches off to go to like the monitor engineer and such. And on the other side of that network, it's going to, wherever you need to take it, streaming to the cloud, local storage for archival, stuff like that. So everything's connected to the local, the backplane and going where it needs to go. And so it's just another network piece to add. And so you don't have to, get boggled down with the kind of setup that you usually have to do for AV over IP.
It seems like a very simple integration if you've got an existing Dante network.
Yes. Yes. Give me 1 second here. Okay. You can hear me again?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay. You're perfect. It was doing the robot for a second, so it's good now. Okay. Yeah. Say your last question again. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that it just seems like a simple integration if you've already got an existing Dante network to add the video piece here.
Yes, it is. It's very simple in that aspect, and really it comes down to just monitoring some, at that point, some bandwidth considerations and such, which you'd end up, dealing with anyway. But it takes a lot of the guesswork and configuration out of it, which is really nice for everybody involved, pretty much. And it makes it easier to explain the whole system and the whole buy to the customer when you're not talking about engineers and consultants coming in programming, plugins and stuff like that. And you're not talking about getting bogged down in contracts. Yeah, it helps a lot. Let me go through the cameras real quickly. So we have our full HD camera, which is the D220. And this camera has an optical zoom of 20 times, and it has an output with HDMI 2.0 for local monitoring and such. And it's a 1080 by 60 camera. It does have a secondary piece for streaming for like YouTube and anything you need to stream to like that. But this is a solid camera. You can control it through the various control mechanisms that already exist, like with Visca or Pelco. And you can see
David,
that.
I think your video might be frozen. It seems to be stuck on when you went to change it over to swap presenter view, it's stuck on that.
Oh, okay. Give me a second. We swap it back and forth once and see.
There it goes. Okay. I think that now it's on the camera.
It might just be because it's recording or something. It might be. Are you seeing this?
The D220 camera slide is up, but then it's still frozen at where you're switching over from display settings to swap presenter view. That part is still up.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yep, that looks a lot better.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Office 365 has some weird quirks. I'm getting used to them. So, okay. So do you see the D412 right now?
Yes, the D412 is the one that's up. Yep.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So this is our 4K 60 camera. MSRP is $33.95. And this just works, just as easily as the other one. Just plug it into the network and use a decoder and take it anywhere you want to go. Zoom on this is 12 times. and it also has a HDMI 2 output. And everything, with Dante, the sync is what's really important. And so for for a house of worship or for anything like with, gosh, in an event space, the sync is going to be like the primary concern, through audio and video. And so that's something that Dante specializes in. And if you've used Dante, then you know how it uses a master clock and it keeps everything synced perfectly. And so this, sound specs even are important for the cameras because the Dante network is so sound focused. So you can see the sample rates there on the camera are pretty fantastic. And you can also power these with PoE++. And so everything can be done through that network switch. And this is our decoder. This is an HDMI decoder, and this will plug into the network anywhere that you want to take that signal out and turn it into any kind of a screen. And it supports HDCP. It does UHD 4K 60, so it does 444 video output. It uses just as the cameras, JPEG 2000 codec. And the bigger brother to that guy is the D20S which is 12G SDI. So you have HDMI plus the SDI on this guy. MSRP is $25.95. And this is also just as easy to add, just with a Cat5 cable. And then we have a Ptc Camera Controller, which it's a really nice controller, but it works perfectly, over the Dante network and controls any of our cameras. This is a $15.95 MSRP, and it has special dials on the left side, so you can quickly, get in control of white balance and the focus and the compensation for the exposure and the shutter speed as well. And then I have some bandwidth considerations to let you guys know about, so you can see what the cameras do at different resolutions. But before that, I want to turn the screen sharing over so you can see these in action real quickly in our production studio. So I'm going to stop my share right there and hand it over to the studio. I'm not sure if you need to do that, Greg, or there we go. Perfect.
Yep, the studio is listed as a co-host, so they should be able to share screen and take over.
So you can see here on the left side, we have a D20S decoder. Then we have a D220 right next to it, going from left to right. And then, which is the full HD camera. Then we have the D10H in the middle, and that's running as a decoder. We have a D20H next to that, and that's running as an encoder. And then you've got the D412 4K camera on the right side. And everything is going into a switch and being routed to the monitors there. If you want to explain those real quickly, Kyle, you could.
Hi everyone, this is Kyle. And then as you can see, and then all the equipment and then hooked to the switch here, the gear switch, which has PoE++. And then this. Okay. And then we have the D10H. D10H connect to this monitor, which has the decoder from the camera 412. And we can use this. As you can see, this is the Dante controller that I'm using to route the video as a resources. Now we have camera resources, D220 as our camera, Dante camera, and D412 as a 4K Dante camera, as a resources as a TX as a encoder devices. And then this is the Dante D20H as an encoder that has this Blu-ray movie right now is playing as a media player to go into the encoder and has a Dante streaming. Then use this Dante controller, we can switch this to, so I'll move this here. Yeah, they switch to the camera. And right now, all the camera feeds and then the media feeds are running multicasting. So that's the D220. And then this is the D412. Yeah, as the decoder, I can control it. Yep. So as you can see, it's very easily to route all the endpoints between the transmitter and the receiver, and all the camera feeds can go to all the different type of displays. Let's go back to show the feeds here, and then D10H showed all the Blu-ray movie. And then all these movies is HDCP encrypted, HDCP protected content from Blu-ray, same as the if we have a game console and then Blu-ray console, and then all these are HDCP supported, and then our devices supported HDCP 2.0 and then supported HDCP 2.3 for network use. David, you can have it.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. So as you guys can see, using the controller, it's easy to route, multicast, on the fly. You need to add a screen or you need to move something to another screen. The setup is extremely simple, and it works pretty fast. While we have this up, is there anybody in here that's working with any customers that uses Dante or just has any questions on like what they're seeing right there? Is that confusing? Does that make sense?
And if anyone does wish to ask any questions, I'd have the participant panel up. You can raise your hand. I can free you up to speak if you wish. No, I'm not seeing anything, David. I'm guessing that the presentation was informative as is and spoke for itself.
Yeah, it's relatively straightforward. But yeah, so you can easily have a setup and add to your existing Dante network, or set up one from scratch to do everything you need to do in a live event or house of worship or a corporate setting, and then control it and configure it through the controller. And that eliminates the need for a lot of software and equipment that you usually have to use. And also for volunteers that are technically inclined, but may not be experts with 20 years of experience. Okay, no problem. Just seeing if anyone had happened to have a question, and we showed everything going decoder wise, encoder wise. That little picture is a train set that's off to the left side, and that's a Blu-ray going through the encoder. And it just looks really high tech there in the middle because it's just, it's a like a tester screen above the inputs. And then yeah, we can go. I guess we can go to the bandwidth considerations and just give you guys a quick overview on that. And these encoders will be available shortly, and they'll be user configurable to be decoders or encoders. So that makes it really nice for the user. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to steal the screen back then for a minute. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, are you seeing the presenter view?
Yep, it's back in presenter view. All good.
Good, okay. So this is part of our bigger chart that's on our website, and this shows basically, at a glance you can figure out, it's kind of like a calculator, but you can see the, if you're using the 4K camera, 10-bit, 444, you're gonna go through, 911 megabits per second, and it just goes down the list. And so that helps you determine what you're going to need as far as a switch, when you need to add to your network for bandwidth. And then I'll take us to the website really quick. You should all be seeing the web page.
Yep, the web page is up.
Okay. Close that. Okay. So this kind of goes through typical, bandwidth questions you might have, gives a little explanation. Then that entire chart is there for anybody to see or copy. And that comes in handy. It helps a lot. I would say a good rule of thumb would be, not to go up to like 75% of the maximum that you can handle on that switch, and then add, and just in case things get throttled. We have found the Netgear M series to be very useful, as they seem to have the only commercially available PoE++, multiple, 4 and 8 port switches that work really well. Like the 4250s are really nice, and they've been a really good partner working together. And if you do happen to go to our website and take a look around, you'll see the Dante AV section. You'll see you can go right here to camera or encoder, and we have all the info you might need. And we have, press events, and we have application diagrams. We have the latency, for the syncing with Dante AV. The bandwidth, we have some control videos, and then we have some basic tutorials and unboxing type videos, and how to get the controller set up, and all that really helps out. And just down there on the bottom. And then there's there's like knowledge base articles, and if anyone hasn't gone through their Dante certification or they want to get more, there's a link to it there. And then there's Dante Av Basics. And so these would be a lot of questions, and I'm not sure if the customers have used Dante Audio yet, but I'm assuming a lot of people that are integrators or resellers have. And so that's a good place to start if you haven't. If you had questions, there's a lot right there. and that's just bolintechnology.com, and click on the slider that shows the encoders and decoders, or you can use the menu and you can go down to products and cameras and low latency, and you'll see Dante right there. And at that point, I want to see if anyone else does have any questions.
I don't see any in the panel at the moment.
Hi, David.
Yes.
How about we can introduce a little bit our test bench or the devices relationship with the devices between Dante AV and the routing, so that we can demonstrate the workflows.
Oh, the application diagrams?
Yeah. Sure. Okay. So we can show our studio the devices connections.
Oh, so, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so that we can have a better understanding the cablings. Sure.
Let's do that for a few minutes. And you guys probably as far as time, Greg, do you think we have like another 3 or 4 minutes?
Oh, yeah, we have plenty of time. No problem on that.
Okay. I'm going to stop my share there, and you can pull up the studio feed.
As you can see, this is all the equipment that has been linked. So this is the top view. So let's see. We have, and this one is the encoder D20H. And D20H is an encoder, and the decoder can be pre-programmable and as an encoder, as a decoder. And right now we're using it as an encoder, and then there's a Blu-ray HDMI input, and then this is the network, and then this is a D10H, is a decoder only, pair up with our Dante AV cameras with Full HD and 4K cameras as a decoder. This is the decoder as well, but it's a D20, as it can be used as encoder, can be programmed by software upgrade. And then now we're using it as a decoder. We have SDI output, 12G SDI output, and the HDMI output. So this is the Dante enabled mic, so that you use that as a audio endpoint. And this is our 4K 60 Dante camera. Only has a one cable, powering up by PoE++, and then Dante streaming. So this is the Full HD Dante camera, same as this is only one cable connected to the camera as Dante streaming. So is it?
The unifying theme here is the simplicity. You know, one cable to connect.
Yeah, and this is the other view of the test bench, so that we can see. And now we're using this as the Netgear PoE++ managed switcher, and then we use the other one as a HDMI 4K 60 matrix to route all the HDMIs to the output. And this here, we're using 12G SDI monitor. 12G SDI monitor here. And then it's showing the camera running 4K 60 12G SDI. So this is the Dante controller, as everyone very familiar with. So as this is a TX endpoint, as a transmitter endpoint, we have all the cameras and the audio devices, and then receivers here as the decoders. We can just very easily to click and route. Yeah, click the route, and then we can change the here. Is it? We can D20 edge D220. Yeah, I just reroute our D10H encoder to display on one of our displayer to show the D220 image. See, now here I am. So, 20 image. So, see. You can show it's moving. I'm controlling use the keyboard running Visca over IP, and then the IP controller, the keyboard can assign to any type of cameras that connected to the Dante AV. Use our Dante AV enabled camera, or use the regular camera. We can use the serial RS422 connection to use this keyboard to connect to the Dante box as well. So Dante box has the RS422 connection so that we can use the keyboard, use the serial port control to control the third-party camera. It doesn't have to use our Bolin Dante AV camera with the use the separate camera that they have to use combined with the D220H as an encoder. We can use regular camera. Yeah. Okay.
Both the D22 or 220, I should say, and the other camera, are they the 412? Are they both PoE cameras?
Yes.
Yeah, they're all PoE cameras.
Which makes the integration of that into your system that much easier, of course.
Yes, right now we are running multicasting, and then we can run unicast as well. Obvious. Multicasting let you to distribute one video feed from Dante AV to multiple displayers. That's like what we are doing right now, is showing all Dante 4K cameras. And I can switch over to back to, okay, back to.
Yeah, as of like 5 or 6 months ago, doing this through the Dante controller would be unheard of. Kind of just, Dante in a nutshell, and I mean Dante AV in a nutshell, and see if that might spur some projects that might be going on, some questions, and might lead to some people wanting to set up a Dante camera on their network.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as you guys have shown, the Bolin line of Dante AV stuff really covers needs in a simple way if you're looking to integrate video into your Dante network, which is great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for hosting this, and it's good to let everyone know. Anyone can talk about an AV over IP solution, but they can see that it works, and that means a lot too. Yeah,
absolutely. Working example makes a big difference, and thank you for from Bolin to taking the time out, as well as from David Summers to be here today for the webinar. Naturally, if any customers have any questions post-webinar, certainly reach out to your sales engineer. We can help you integrate a Bolin piece into your system. And for those of you looking to get any further information, we will be posting this webinar on our YouTube channel for future reference, and certainly reach out if you have any other questions.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot, David. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Have a good afternoon.